Hi students, this tutorial is to help you create a wheel in Tinkercad Codeblocks. We're going to be making a small cylinder, thin and then wide, and then cutting holes around that leave the middle connected to the edge, but create a beautiful pattern. So you want to go into Codeblocks and create a new code block. And from there, we'll go into New Design. Okay. The very first thing we're going to want to do is rename the design wheel. And then we'll need to get a variable that keeps track of our rotation sweep. So that's in math. And we'll want to grab a create variable tab and rename it to rotation. We want to leave that set to 0 at the beginning. Okay. From there, we want to pull out the actual wheel itself. That will be a cylinder shape. And you can make the cylinder whatever color you want. We might go black here. And we want to make the radius 30 and the height, good height for that is 3. And when we ask it to draw that, we can see that there are kind of sharp edges to that. We want to smooth that out and make the number of sides instead of 20, we can increase it to 60, and that smooths that out. Okay, now we want to build up our loop for cutting holes. So let's get a repeat loop and put that in after there. And then here's where you got to make a decision about what type of shape you want to cut out of here. It could be a star, it could be whatever you'd like. I am going to go for something that looks a little more like spokes here. So I'm going to choose a cone shape here. So I'm going to pull a cone in. Now, if I pull a cone in and make a cone just normal, you'll see that it's pointing in the wrong direction and it's a little too big in a few directions. So first, to be able to see what we're doing, I'm going to want to rotate it sideways. So I'm going to ask that we rotate this thing around the y-axis by 90, and that gets it sideways. And now we can start to resize this cone so it'll be a good size for that. So instead of coming to a point here at 0, how about we have it come to 1, and instead of the base being huge at 10, I'm going to try out something a lot smaller, like 3. And then I'm going to leave the height at 20. So let's take a look at that. And that's a lot smaller there, looking good. So don't know quite if it's where we need it to be, but that's okay. Now I'm going to ask it to move to the right here. So remember, right left is the x-axis. So I'm going to make that 20 there. And that's moving that out a little bit to the right there. So if I make that a hole instead of purple, so I'm making the cone a hole, and you can do this with any shape here. And at the very bottom, create a group. You could see that that made a single spoke hole there. So what we want is to make that hole all the way around rotate. Now this could be a star, this could be a circle, this could be any shape you want. Okay, so now we're going to need to do that sweeping around. Remember, that will be a rotation around the z-axis. And we're going to ask it to rotate not by a certain number, but by whatever number is in the rotation variable. So if I pull that in, and then remember the trick to get it to rotate around the center point here, we need to say from pivot x0, y0, z0 there. And then choose a number to jump up by. So the rotation starts at 0. So how much more do we want it to go around? We can start here by making in our math block to change the rotation by, let's start by 45 degrees. And I'm going to have to guess how many times. I'm going to guess 5 times around here. to make that. So let's see what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 looks like 45 degree will get there. So I'm going to look, boom. So that looks good. I'm going to zoom in here and check something that I need to make sure that the center point is connected out to the outside point. If it's not, we need to make adjustments. For instance, if the bottom radius was 5 on here, you'll see that that it barely touches. If I made it like 6, it actually disconnects it, and this is not a functioning wheel. But with this here, I had it back down at 3. That still works because it's connected. Now you can do any shape you want around there. It doesn't have to be a cone, but hopefully that will get you where you need to be, and then you can press mark as done. Hope that helps.